she's a Rochester, Minnesota woman. She hurled a racial slur at a 5-year-old black child in a viral
alleged 5-year-old, alleged autistic
all
child.
All alleged. She has raised, they've raised $600,000 and counting on GiveSendGo. I know that's one of your favorite places. No, not, what's the other one?
GoFundMe is the other one. We don't even mention that name.
A fundraiser titled "Help Me Protect My Family," claiming, "I'm asking you for help to assist protecting my family. I fear we must relocate." She alleged a man with a history of law enforcement recorded her causing great turmoil as my social security number has been leaked, my address, my phone number has been given out freely, prompting threats and harassment.
It's the facts. Are you guys all familiar with the facts?
Yes.
The guy who recorded it, his name is a complicated Sherbeke, first name Omar, last name.
Somali immigrant
who was facing charges of basically sexual abuse of a 16-year-old, non-consensual. The charges were dropped in the interests of justice by the state of Minnesota. He and another person, I think also Somali, were involved in this. The woman fled a foster home and they allegedly sexually assaulted her. Charges dropped in the interests of justice. That's the guy recording it.
Yeah,
oh, so he's
and that's verified by AB6 News. They wrote an article April 18th of 2023. I believe, Connor, you included this.
Yes, we have that a few slides
so,
over.
so the guy recording is allegedly a
Somali pedophile has his phone out recording near a playground and happens to catch a woman calling what he claims is a 5-year-old autistic boy, but actually looks more like a 12-year-old, probably non-autistic kid. The N-word.
By the way, and I love that you guys did your like. I had no idea about that. And here's another thing. Besides him being allegedly a whatever psycho, whatever pedophile, notice how the recording starts right when this moment happens. So there's no context of what's happening before. I don't know any of the ages of. I mean, she obviously has her child in there. And she starts claiming some stuff. I want to warn. Well, we're gonna have this.
Now, I believe when the audience hears this, the N-word will be censored.
Okay.
We are hearing the uncensored version,
okay,
and you will know from the number of beeps that Shiloh Hendrix really went for it in this.
Okay,
one.
let's. And this is her claiming that something was stolen from her child. Go ahead.
You call him a child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child the nigga word?
Maybe he's saying
It is my own business. You call him a nigga?
She says it.
Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Have the balls.
Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody
You put the volume up.
digging
We
through
can't
shit.
hear it.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigga?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna...
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate
That's
speech.
what he's gonna act
And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh.
Fuck off.
Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
But so that was a kid up there, the 5-year-old allegedly.
The issue is, like, I've been taking flack for this because on the one hand, I'm still very suspicious about how this occurred in the first place. If you're a woman who harbors racist sentiment and you're approached by a middle-aged Sudanese man in a park who's egging you on to say the N-word, the videos that I've seen about what happens to the person after they say the N-word are sufficient to, not cause you to say it to a stranger who's accosting you with a video camera in a park trying to get you to say the N-word. And the fact that I'm skeptical of a lot of things on this. And then to immediately go to GiveSendGo and raise, it was initially set at 100,000, it got there quickly, up to $250,000, got there, up to $500,000, now it's up to $1 million.
Now, when those things work, the people themselves that are running the campaigns don't actually increase the threshold, right?
They do.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
I thought it was automatic. Once you meet the goal, GiveSendGo,
No.
then...
They tell you to do it as like the best practices because if you reach your goal, then people stop donating.
Yeah.
So I'm skeptical of how she would, if she's a racist and harbors these sentiments and prejudgments about blacks in general, she's going to say the N-word to a guy, a 35-year-old Somalian guy who's recording her in the park. Okay, assume that she actually is legit and said it. Then the issue is, some people are saying the kid's not 5 years old. I'm like, okay, if the guy said to her, you say it to a 5-year-old kid and her answer is that's not a kid, that's a 12 or 13-year-old, one would assume that that's what her response would be, not, I'll do it if the kid's acting like what I think, warrants the use of the word. Other people were floating the idea that the Somalian guy was using this kid to rummage through people's purses, to steal money, and then if you get mad at the kid, you say it's just a kid.
Wow,
Which happens all the time, by the way.
Because the question is, why is that guy there? Does he have a kid? Why is he in the park in the first place?
Apparently, according to some reports, he brings his own kids to that park, and they know the other kid, so that's why he jumped in. But nobody really is aware of the connection right now.
So
Nobody can verify who the kid is, where the kid's parents were, or what happened. So everything we know about, the alleged 5-year-old, alleged autistic, comes from that guy in that video.
Okay, so I mean, dude,
and her not even remotely denying that she thought it was a kid.
That is
she
a
was using
crazy.
the
I
N-word
mean,
on.
besides her being what she is, that is a crazy idea to literally bring kids, child 1 or 2, to go steal stuff from other people, and the moment they say something, you
No,
go,
it's just a
"Hey,
kid.
is it
It's
because
just a
they're
kid.
black?" And then you push them and say, "Go ahead."
That
I dare
happens
you to say it.
constantly.
Wow.
I can't tell you how many
That's kind of-
videos you see of like in the store, family going around, and all the stolen merchandise is under the 3-year-old in the stroller, so that when somebody stops them, it's like, "Oh, you harassing the black kid?" No. It's because they're sitting on a ton of stuff you stole.
That's not fair. Black people aren't the only people that do that.
No,
There are
that's
white
not what I'm
people
saying.
that do
I
that.
say that.
I
I
know
understand
that
the
using
ploy
kids.
is to use a kid to
Using
do the
kids
theft, and
to
then when
do
they
it.
Oh no, I've
accuse-
seen
no, it's
gypsies
just
do that in
just a
LA.
kid.
I've seen gypsies do it. They're not black. They're pieces of shit.
What I got into the most trouble for, do you all remember the Johnny Bobbitt, Caitlin McClure, and Mark D'Amico Go F Me scandal? The homeless person who gave the woman his last $20, and then they raised $500,000.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they were all in cahoots together, and
Yeah,
they
they all
only
were-
got found out when they weren't paying the homeless guy what they said they would
Oh,
pay.
yeah, of course.
So I half seriously, but I'm like, okay, what if this is all just a big cahoots? Because the guy who uploaded the video to the internet has his run-ins with the law. People are like, well, he's not going to upload the videos to the internet. I was like, this would be one great scheme. They raised $600,000, and we'll find out later on it was either a setup, a prank, a social experiment, or they were in on this from the beginning.
Let's discuss the run-ins with law enforcement for a quick second. I want to read you what this news site, ABC6 News, says about the guy who filmed that video. According to court documents, a 16-year-old girl fled her foster home in Farmington, Minnesota, and told law enforcement she was sexually assaulted by multiple men in the Rochester area. According to court records, the teen told law enforcement that one of the suspects, not the guy that's in this video, but possibly his accomplice, Mohammed Omar, picked her up at a Rochester Quick Trip and offered her a place to stay at his trailer, then propositioned and raped her after the teenager told him that she would not have sex with him. According to court documents, the teen said she also met Shamarke Omar, the guy that did film this video, at the trailer later, and that Omar sexually assaulted her twice. The teen said that she was kept in a trailer for under 24 hours with no food, and the men took her shoes to prevent her from running. So when we say that this guy had run-ins with law enforcement, it's not like he got pulled over because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
This guy allegedly kept a 16-year-old as a victim inside of a trailer for 24 hours, viciously and horrifically raped her, and then took her shoes so she couldn't escape.
Now,
Charges
yeah.
were dismissed in the interests of justice.
What
You
is
can-
that? What does the interest of
I have
justice
no
even mean?
effing
Mind you,
idea.
this is Minnesota. Is this Tim Walz's Minnesota?
Yeah, this is
Oh,
this
but
is
Tampon Tim's place.
This is Minnesota, where they have this gigantic population of Somali immigrants.
Of course.
Which, people from Somalia, one of the most dysfunctional countries on the planet, keep managing to ship people all the way to the United States, and they end up in
Is
Minnesota.
this where Ilhan Omar's place?
That's what I'm just
Oh, is this the
Googling.
place that has over the 20 terror watch list people that with ties to ISIS?
But
that bitch tries to say that white men are the biggest threat to
Yes.
this fucking country.
This
Sorry
is
for
what.
my
This
language.
is why. This is why I'm suspicious of any woman alone in a park who's going to drop a hard R N-word on a guy who's accosting her with
Could
a
I ask you a
camera.
question, Rob? What if they're all in on it?
No, but
what if he went to her and said, "Listen, I have an idea. I'm not gonna rape you or keep you hostage because that's allegedly what I do. Why don't we just set this whole thing up, bro? That would be a brilliant.
That's a lot more.
My
sneaky ass
intuition
move.
tells me these are all actors.
They might be.
That's
Because
a lot more high
how
order
easy it is to
thinking.
play us, though. You know, like the guy got off easy on a crime. So the same thing happened with that piece of shit guy who was talking about the Carmelo Anthony thing. Like he beat the shit out of a 2-year-old, headbutted his girlfriend, and then barely gets any crime for that or penalties for that. Then he starts this weird nonprofit that gets money from the Tide Foundation, that gets money from Open Society, and then now he's just randomly representing Carmelo Anthony's family. So
That's so weird. But I
The-
wouldn't put it past.
the retort to it not being possibly staged is that they would have had no idea of knowing that they would have raised that much money. The
what if
amount of
NGOs give him the money, though?
Well, first of all, a lot of those donations, I spoke with Jacob Wells about the anonymous donations. They're anonymous to the public, but not to the platform. So, Jacob Wells, I had him on my channel on Sunday night, and he explained The donations, 85% from America. So you could tell that it's not coming directly from foreign countries. The option to tip the platform is commensurate with other campaigns. Because my question was, if this is sort of like an NGO funded, they're not going to tip GiveSendGo for the optional sort of support. There was another element to this also, but there was a allegedly fake photo of Shiloh kissing a black man that she allegedly posted on Facebook from 2011, and people were saying, oh, now the right that donated to her is going to be pissed off. And my theory was like, if that's a legit photo, it might only explain why she might be comfortable using the N-word. Like, okay, like I feel part of the culture, so I could use the N-word.
She got the card.
But it's the issue is only like, did she become the face of MAGA like many propagandists on the left, I would say, are trying to claim? Like, look, this reveals the underlying racism of MAGA, that people are now supporting this woman to the tune of $600,000 for having dropped the N-word.
She's not the face of MAGA. She's the face of...
She could be the face of the CIA because they're more racist than MAGA.
That's one possibility. And I fully agree that there's the chance exists that a bunch of big money NGOs and people who are trying to, just stir up division are donating to this and to the Carmelo Anthony GiveSendGo to just create problems. Ian Carroll threw that out the other day where he's like, everyone's so busy fighting, you're not looking at the bankers. And when Ian Carroll says bankers, what he means is Jews. So the international cabal of Jewry
means bankers. They just happen to be statistically overrepresented by
So one possibility is that the global cabal of Jewry is causing, all these racial... The other possibility is that this is legitimate racial division that has existed in the country for decades.
Not organically, though.
Oh, no, I wouldn't
go
put
back
it
and
past.
look at things like the results of the OJ trial. There were people who were being interviewed where that was like the big racial inflection point viewed as retribution for the Rodney King beating, where people were saying, I don't care if OJ did it, I'm glad he got off because at least he only killed white people.
Yeah, that's to do with the way it's being covered, though.
Yeah, that's the coverage, but this is a sentiment that exists. So even if there's people who are pouring money into it to try to stoke this division, they have a huge army of people on both sides who are more than happy to go along with it.
Which that's one. Or it could just be an alleged pedophile took out his phone and got a racist white bitch. I mean, it could be. Oh wait, and again, we're not going to know any of the answers. This is Jacob Wells, you interviewed from GiveSendGo because,
he's the CEO.
Guys, and I want to know, just before I read this, should people be allowed to fundraise like the Carmelo Anthony situation where people are saying it was, to help him no, they're renting multi-million-dollar houses and buying cars and shit. Should people be allowed to fundraise like this? Yes? No? I don't know what Kelly put here.
Maybe so.
Case by case.
There we just aged ourselves.
I don't know. IDK.
I don't know, or case by case.
So yeah, definitely. Like, you can't, because then it gets out of control if you say you can't fundraise if you're doing this, or that.
Well, no, but people raise
it's like
the
debanking people.
Yeah, well, and people say, well, you shouldn't be able to raise money or make money off of proceeds of crime. It's not Carmelo Anthony saying, like, buy my merch type thing. It was the family saying, look, we got to do things for ourselves, and we're suffering as a result of what I believe is an act.
No, but that's
of
what
murder
the
by their
comments were implying, which is why it's weird that Jacob Wells disabled commenting on Shiloh Hendrix fundraiser, but didn't on Carmelo Anthony's. On the next slide, there's the community note that shows that, and as well as all his repeated arguments of, I can't shut down the Carmelo Anthony comment section, it's free speech. I've never seen a meaningful argument for disabling the free speech.
Did he not disable on both?
No, he disabled it on Shiloh's.
Yeah, that's
weird.
weird.
He did not disable it on Carmelo's. So these two things are perfectly linked. Because if you looked at the comments on the Carmelo Anthony GiveSendGo, it is people saying, yeah, I'm glad you killed that white MFer. It's about time white people got what's coming to them.
That's
people
the unfortunate thing
Shiloh's
that's the unfortunate thing about black people. Though. They have no idea who they should be mad at. Like, they should be infinitely more mad at the government and the CIA than white people. Like white people and black people have like the vast majority of things in common. But what we don't have in common is that the CIA like pumped drugs into black neighborhoods for the last 70 years after we kind of segregated them to like specific areas, and then the government changed the laws to make the crimes more years in jail for if you have drugs on you.
What level of CIA psyop made Carmelo Anthony stab Austin Metcalf in the heart?
I don't think that's a black-white issue. I think that's an uneducated issue.
No,
I think there's
I'm
equally
saying
the amount of white people who don't understand what the United States government has done by infiltrating black communities with drugs in the 80s and with crack cocaine. But when you say that's the problem with black people, they're not aware of this.
With their anger, like that's the problem with like who they're being angry at, because like they're the ones who get like, oh, white people this, white people that. But like, no, look at like what caused your communities, like wreaked havoc on your communities. It's that the government pumped drugs into your communities specifically, and then changed the laws to make more time in jail for those things. Like if you possess crack, you're suddenly in jail for 20 years, for 30 years. So like the number of people in jail like skyrocketed in the 80s, and I never hear people talk about that. They just say like, oh, racist, this, that, white. Like white people and black people have the vast majority of things in common, but neither of us have a lot in common with the government.
Yeah, and what he's saying is it's the uneducated, which they do it on purpose, not to let people know how do we get to this point. And just like what Margaret Singer, the biggest murderer of fucking black people, was a white lady that pushed Planned Parenthood, which is like has killed how many millions and millions and millions of black children, but nobody says shit. And you're right. It's not. But as you guys, how many times are you going to hear? Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. That's what they do. They can't have us loving each other. That's why they push that shit.
Yeah, like
that
the
is
people
the
who in
question.
common are fighting the most. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, that is the theory behind this. Some people are saying that they're using the term either white fatigue or black fatigue. I forget which way they're using it, but they're saying Shiloh is now just a representation of white America getting fed up with statistical overrepresentation of black crime, and this is the expression of it. It's just a word, and she's now showing all of our frustration. So here's $10,000 by way of an anonymous donation. At one point on the top donations, it was like they were doing like an auction. It was going $2,000, then 2001, then 2002, then 2003. Someone was telling me that they were actually spelling out the N-word in the donations, which really leads me to believe that there's something fundamentally inorganic about this. Or at the very least, it's just a woman who is now saying, hey, this is a good grift. I can capitalize off my racism. If she's a bona fide racist, or if you don't think it's racism, I don't know how you don't think referring to a young person as the N-word, even if they were stealing your 18-month-old son's stuff. I mean, berating a child, let alone on a racial element, is a problem to me already, but I'm just the polite sissy Canadian who doesn't understand the
As
racial
a polite
divide.
sissy American, I agree with you.
No, you imagine
Calling
like
anybody, regardless of their age, the N-word is inexcusable, let alone doing it to a child.
Yep. All right. What other clips do we have? I mean, that's Jacob Wells.
I just want to say though, in the grand scheme of things to be mad at, like somebody saying the N-word, okay, sure, that's like a 4 out of 10. Somebody pumping drugs into your neighborhood, that should be a 10 out of 10, because like that like set your whole family back generations.
One of the main arguments is the double standard that the black community can use the N-word, but the white community can't. I'm like, I refer to I don't have, what are they called, pet names for spouses? But like my mother calls my father Piglet. If someone on the street calls my father Piglet, it won't start a fight, but it would be mildly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Within a community, within a relationship, you have different names. There's a different level of familiarity that you don't have in society at large.
But if someone called your dad Piglet on the street, would he turn around and stab them?
No, my dad would say, "How the hell did
that is the
Barbara?"
that is the standard right now, where people are comparing what Shiloh Hendrix did to what Carmelo Anthony did, and said, "Oh, those are both equally bad." One woman said a word. The guy stabbed a kid in the heart, and you're trying to say those are the same
died in
thing.
his brother's arms.
But that's why this is an insane thing that needs to be called out, because the standard is if a white person says the N-word, that is akin to a physical assault that can be met with violence.
The real issue is people were rightly outraged. The degree to which Carmelo was raising funds off what many people believe to be a racially motivated act, and whether or not, I don't think it was racially motivated until evidence to the contrary, but even raising money off of his murder. I believe it was murder. Then people think that's disgusting, that's horrific. So now let's go do it reciprocally, not with an act of violence, but with a white woman using the N-word. And that's how we're going to show them, A, that it's wrong, and that's how we're going to get back at them by making this woman, if it was a bona fide racist use of the N-word, to make her close to a millionaire. I mean, that's like the final answer on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. N-word, like, great. So now she's rewarded for what is a bad act. It's not anywhere. It's not even comparable to violence, but she's rewarded for it. And what does that teach anybody?
Think about this though. So like, how much of a role does the media play? Because like the Luigi Mangione thing, the Carmelo Anthony thing, like how much of a role does the media play in like the amount of fundraising or support going towards them? Because the thing about if the media covered it differently, if the media wasn't reporting so much, and like oh wow, they're getting all the support, they're raising all this money. Like I think that shapes the vast majority of the narrative.
Yeah, but then you look at the algorithm, and my algorithm was filled with Dave Portnoy and Shiloh Hendrix all weekend. So is it just the mainstream media, or is this the actual public's interest in these topics? Because my feed was nothing but but clips of Dave Portnoy and rebuttals to him, and clips of this woman calling the kid the N-word, and then people rebutting that.
That's
But just
it's
talking about
engagement. I mean, that's what social media is for. The issue with my particular issue with the Shiloh one is that there's a lot of, I think, bad faith players in it trying to tie it to MAGA so they can then say, look how fundamentally racist. I don't even. We don't even know if that woman voted Democrat. Like she's from Minnesota. It's closer than it was in the past, but she could be a Biden supporter.
MAGA has nothing to do with this. Trump hasn't commented on it. The Republican Party has.
No, it's as if anybody
who voted for what doesn't matter. That's why there's certain issues that can't be mapped onto the right-left dichotomy. It's other issues outside of that spectrum that people have opinions on. That's what they're responding to with these donations. And whether it's, black people giving money to Carmelo Anthony saying, yeah, kill all the whiteys.
In my day, I had to sit on the back of the bus.
Or
now
people giving money to
whitey.
Shiloh Hendrix saying, yeah, we're tired of these N-words. Let's spell out the N-word as we give the donations. It's not a right-left thing. It's touching a bigger, deeper issue that goes far beyond party registration.
Well, right-left is just as much divide and conquer as black and white, though. Like it's like the ultimate divide and conquer, and like all of it's just to make us look the other way while we're getting ripped off collectively.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're making it sound as if we all just get together and burn down the CIA, suddenly it's all peace and harmony. Like no, there are fundamental issues that that divide people along lines. Like I will never have solidarity with people who are 100% pro-abortion because I am 100% anti-abortion. On that issue, we're not going to reconcile on that because that is a fundamentally different way of viewing the world.
You're not going to fight in the streets over it.
We're not going to fight in the streets over it, but there will be, some kind of decision that has to be made on that.
When Ian Carroll was blaming the bankers, did he entertain the idea that Shiloh was in on it? Because for those who don't know, Shiloh is a name of Hebrew origin, which means tranquil peace or rest. And then the retort to that is, virtually every name is of biblical or Hebrew origin, like John, Samuel, all of these things. But it's what's so wild about this is that people are saying it's Jewish funded and they're trying to divide and conquer, and she's just standing up to the plot to replace us with Somalis, and that's why she's mad. And then others are saying she's in on it. Her name is Hebrew. Can't you all see the dots? Everyone's connecting the dots like that.
It's just weird though. It's so funny during Biden. Everybody apparently was no racism. Everybody was good. No cops killed anybody. And then all of a sudden, during Trump, we're 3 months in, the racial fucking fire, the flame is lit. I don't buy into that.
It's just
shit,
noise.
Bro. It just, guess what? There's racist people out there. Stay the fuck away from them if you can. That's it. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.